our Lord and Savior himself, and by that I obviously mean Ashes of Creation, has done an oopsie.
Ashes of Creation is in full damage control mode after this update. Uh-oh.
Hey, what up, boys? So, apparently, Stephen Sharif, our resident millionaire CEO MMORPG guru, sits around and watches all kinds of videos and streams about his highly anticipated game.
Makes sense.
Surely not completely unhinged and reflective of insecurities, but it's paid off for us because we were treated by another spontaneous Steven appearance, answering community concerns and questions from Tangents of Creation, another slightly newer but still worthwhile podcast. And today I'm going to break down all the interesting pieces of information, albeit 2 weeks late because I'm completely disorganized this month.
That's fine.
Before we get into that, our beautiful patrons pooped out the wazoo Twitch subs, and I would love for you to grab yourself a
Holy fuck, it's good that he's
Coca-Cola.
God damn, that's a lot of Twitch subs. Good for him.
Cola, because with the community absolutely shitting a brick about a few of
Is he wearing a bathrobe, by the way?
these freehold design decisions, it has sent Intrepid into a slight frenzy of damage control, clearing up a lot of misconceptions about the systems, as they're obviously connected to a lot of currently unknown.
If you're gonna wear a bathrobe, you should never wear one of those bathrobes that has, you know, a puff like this. Because if you're freshly out of the shower, the puff is gonna get on your dick. It's a pretty bad situation. It's like you need to wash it again. It's like, it's kind of stupid.
Known aspects, and this particular discussion touched upon some interesting talking points that I really want to focus on: the leveling experience, the new Tetris inventory, and
Ooh, I told you. We watched this, and I told you that the Tetris inventory system is absolutely ludicrously stupid. That no one's gonna want to do it after 5 minutes of experiencing it. Oh, you need to think about your... Bruh.
game's innovative server structure. Now, with all that bollocks out of the way, let's begin, shall we?
Let's see it.
So to start off, feel free to check out Tangents of Creation over on YouTube or Twitch down in the description, because they have a fairly chilled stream and a pretty reasonable opinions when it comes to MMO.
Chilled streams and reasonable opinions sound exactly like what I don't want for my entertainment.
RPG design, even if they do talk about Dragonflight. Their methods when approaching Steven during this impromptu appearance were professionally handled, and for something completely unprepared, they really managed to get some great discussion about the game that answered a few pretty alarming concerns for people seeing the new direction Intrepid are taking their free.
Oh, he's not being serious.
Now, I'm not going to break down everything said, because it wasn't a question and answer session like we've been used to in the past. More of a back and forth discussion piece with our Lord and Savior. This actually prompted Stephen to go into depth about...
Well, it looks like I'm not the only one going in on the Lord and Savior meme about Ashes of Creation.
a couple of interesting things that the previously released manifesto still failed to answer, so I will touch upon these. Firstly, we got a great discussion about the philosophy, design, and purpose of the recently announced Tetris inventory system.
There is no purpose.
To be honest, I was planning on making a whole video by itself on this subject, but we're on the 24th of this month, and there's simply not enough time for me to do that. So
I don't think that the Tetris inventory thing is that bad. I can see why they're gonna do it. I think that again, it's like a lot of games that have inventory problems like this are usually garbage and bad, but I'm willing to at least give this a try.
No.
Like,
no.
That's really what it comes down to, is like, I wanna just see what it's like and then decide after that, rather than just going and being like, oh, it's gonna be bad for sure.
No, it's gonna be bad for sure.
Well, I don't think Tarkov is bad. I mean, I think a lot of people like it, but
it's a completely different game.
Terrible design. I just think that, like, again, one of the worst things to happen for a game is if the developers are too attached to their own ideas.
True.
And they're unwilling to change them based off of player feedback or how a system is being received by the player base or how.
Well, that's true, but on one hand, World of Warcraft is still the most popular MMO in the world, and they have actively avoided player feedback for a better part of a decade at this point.
How a player base adapts to a system. Like New World, I'm New World, Diablo 4, World of Warcraft, like all of these games. That's the big issue. Is they're too attached to their own ideas, like Lost Ark too. They're too attached to their own ideas of like what they think is important or what they think needs to happen in the game, and they ruin the game in the process of that. I think the best example really is actually Shadowlands, like in WoW. Like they ruined the first half of Shadowlands because they had a vision that just wasn't in line with the player base at all.
I will keep my opinions to myself until this clearly unfinished inventory system is fully fleshed out in future streams. Instead, I will attempt to put your worries to rest with a clip of Steven explaining the direction and philosophy.
One of two things either happens. Either people just at all times.
Wait! I just actually noticed one thing about the thing.
The direction and philosophy.
Oh wait! I'll show you. I didn't notice this previously. Watch.
With
Okay, see? You see those red things? So, the developers implemented these red things that show are you putting it in a valid position or not? Instead of when you move the thing, it just moves accordingly to how big it is. The developers intentionally made the icon shrink, and then when they understood that that's pretty fucking stupid, they added this little thing right here so you can tell if you can put it there. Instead of leaving the icon as big as it is when you move it, they did this whole workaround. That is insanity. Wow, I just noticed that. Holy smokes, that's stupid.
Either people just at all times are expected to gather and collect things when they're out in the wild, or they impose a hard limit throttle like a labor system, or something that mitigates how much you can do a thing. Our approach with kind of addressing that necessity was, let's talk about inventory management. And if a player is going to leave a node and go out and start adventuring, then what's to stop them from ever acquiring everything? Well, there's kind of two primary methods by which you can approach that.
Why do you need to stop a player from acquiring everything, though?
That either through a weight management system or through a spatial. And when you talk about,
I like the weight management system in the world, by the way.
Bag progression, weight is a very monocentric kind of restriction. Whereas when you have stack size and shape size, it's not about the mini game of how do I organize that, because there's an auto sort feature. But rather it's more focused around what types of bags am I going to equip during that time, and how am I going to determine which resources I should interact with. Now it's about how do I manage time, because the time is traveling back and forth from those storage locations. Some of those bags might have increased times to interact with a player corpse, and you can choose to perhaps have less capacity, less stack size, less slot availability for the certain types of gatherables you may want to acquire, in exchange for an increased interaction time for other players that might try to loot that bag, giving you time to reach it and take back your belongings. You want to think about those types of interactions. How do you add layers of strategy to engagements? And there's ways to do that through inventory management as well.
If you want to do that, just copy it to RunEscape 3. That's pretty simple, honestly.
I think there's an element of that that's true. At the same time, I could also see it being very annoying in practice. And this is kind of what I'm talking about, is that like the way he explained it makes a lot of sense theoretically.
Yes,
but
that's true.
Let's see how players actually interact with this system.
It's not going to go
Let's
well.
see how this actually plays. Because it's one thing to say, like, I mean, he has a great...
I will tell you when this will work 100% and the other times it will not. If you can actually separate the activities that you are going to do, like, I'm going to go farm, which means I'm going to equip a literal everything different from just, monster killing, then that works. But if you don't do that, then it doesn't work. It never works.
like philosophy for it. I think that the overarching philosophy for like inventory management, the pros and cons of decision making, etc., these all in theory sound really good. But I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen whenever the actual game comes out.
They don't
and
work.
There's an alpha or a beta, and people are able to play it. Theory can only get you so far. Yeah, exactly. All I heard was the word salad, TLDR. The TLDR of what he said is that inventory management adds a level of decision making that helps you direct what you're going to build for whenever you go out into the open world, and different types of inventory management open you up for different types of advantages in not only gathering but also PvP and obtaining other types of items.
Wow, he actually summarized that very well. And yes, that is exactly what he said. And again, as I said previously, it only works if you can separate things that you are doing by a literal landslide of difference. In any other case, when you cannot differentiate killing monsters and farming at the same time, that system literally never works.
So I understand what he's saying. I don't think anybody, and also again, like inventory management is like, I think fundamentally not a very good, a fun thing to do. So, sounds like a pain in the butt. Yeah, exactly. So a time sink then? Yes, kind of. So
it's not a time sink. What that lead developer or owner or whatever is supposed to be, he wants you to have a different type of avenue to progress through, essentially. That's the end goal.
I don't know what to think, you know?
But it's not going to work.
Try it.
It's not
the same thing I've said before,
it's
right?
flawed
You should
already.
Try, if the developers think it's okay and they think it's going to work, try it. The problem isn't that players try it sometimes. It's that the players try it, nobody likes it, and the developers put it in the game anyway because they think the game needs it.
Discussion continued from this point onwards, touching upon various concerns with the freeholds specifically, with Stephen reiterating a few of the points that were made in the manifesto and the decision behind a few of the changes, and it was all great stuff. But aside from his elaboration
this update was like I think this update was actually an S-tier update. I remember I watched this.
I watched it
the
also.
Inventory system, there were two other subjects discussed that I really want to highlight today. The first one is about Ashes of Creation's leveling curve, and the decision behind gating freeholds behind level 50. And I apologize for the extra long clip here, but Steven's answer was absolutely fantastic and really gave us some insight into how Intrepid expect their MMORPG to play out long term.
My point of concern with it is it being max level in order to obtain one, which is going to lead to a bunch of people level rushing.
Funny actually that you mentioned that, because that was for a time a lively debate on our design team about whether or not there should be a level gate essentially from even preventing potential for ownership. The reason why I chose to keep it at level 50 for now is because there are alternate systems that provide access at lower levels through permission setting, right? So it's one thing to own the home. It's another thing to access the contents and to continue progression. Let's say in the processing profession, you might want to gain mastery in. That mastery process leaves the nodes at around like level 30 in the leveling experience for a processing profession. And so one of the debates on the design team was whether or not we should reduce the level requirement down to level 30 so that there's a seamless transition from node-based processing progression and the freehold capability of progression. The reason why I think that there's never going to be a way to avoid rushing levels is because anytime you have a...
He's right about this. Everybody's always going to rush levels no matter what in every game.
Vertical power progression in a game, there is always going to be a reason to rush leveling. And that's just kind of the standard MMO experience that many of us have had. And the idea isn't that you will need to rush leveling to 50.
I can tell you why you must level gate this content, by the way. Every game that does not level gate something like, for example, Ashes of Creation's thingamajiggy, what's it called, freeholds, is gonna absolutely just implode instantaneously. Because the freehold is supposed to be an additional way you level the game. So, imagine if freehold is available at level 1. You're already giving your players a huge alternative way of playing the game, which will literally just confuse them. It's going to add mechanics that are literally not necessary at this moment in time for them. It's just going to confuse them. They're not going to be able to make decisions on what is the most important thing to do at this point. And, well, that's pretty much it. it's just gonna completely ruin and confuse the average player that goes in. Why is this even available at such an early level? Can you even do anything reasonable in it in such an early level? It would be essentially the same situation that currently there is in Destiny 2 if you are starting to play. You start to play, you get a bunch of level ups, and suddenly it tells you, like, Demon Ash orbs of levels available, and you literally have no idea what that is. That content is not actually even available to you yet, but it for some reason tells you that it's available for you, and it just confuses new players. And Freehold is just a far worse system to allow from level 1.
In Ashes of Creation in order to achieve Freehold. Because you have to also remember that the world structure is what predicates the availability of freeholds. As nodes come online over time, people will reach level 50 before the last node has reached level 3, right? Before even half the nodes probably have reached level 3, before even probably a quarter of the nodes have reached level 3. And as those nodes continue to progress and grow, those freeholds will slowly be trickling out to the populations, which gives time for the people that didn't perhaps, let's say, rush leveling to 50, still be capable of purchasing freeholds within those territories.
There was so much more discussed during the...
I kind of like the idea that somebody can buy a freehold pretty early in the game, because, like, I know that this might sound stupid, but I've said many times that I use the Sword Art Online Goblin Slayer Isekai anime, like, rule, or, like, the fucking... Would this system make sense in one of those games? Or one of those shows? And I feel like there is definitely an aesthetic that, and this is also existing in Final Fantasy XIV.
If you're confused, so am I. Don't worry about it.
Where somebody is not a combat player, somebody is not a, you know, well-rounded adventurer. Their RP in the world, their existence is being a barkeeper, is being a, you know, an innkeeper or something like that. That's what they do. And I feel like if you raise the cap for that and you make people have to level to 50, I don't know how long it takes to level to 50, so it's hard for me really to say. But if you have to spend a lot of time leveling and like a considerable amount of time of this, yes, somebody wants to if somebody wants to RP as an NPC, good for them. Dude, you can't compare show and game. I think that you can in terms of intent. So I think that the
we're moving on.
Shows that are popular because they encapsulate roles and experiences that people want to have. And I think the people that watch shows like that also play games like this. And they want to have the same experience. And I understand, again, this might not be a very popular way of looking at things, but
I don't know how much IQ is potentially losable here if you actually deep dive into that train of thought. First of all, none of the isekai on anime he mentioned have anything to do with barkeeping at all. So that kind of negates the relativity of the point in the first place, I think.
That's how I see it. And yes, I do think that they probably should let people make the, you know, get the...
If people want to RP, they will RP in other people's towns. There's absolutely no reason for them to not to do it. And there's never going to be something that is RPing without actually playing the game. Like, those people don't really exist on a mass scale. They're not even 0.01% of any player base.
Freeholds earlier, but again, we haven't played the game, so like I don't really know like where this lines up in the game. What he said about vertical progression is wrong, though, right? Let me see.
What did he say about vertical progression?
Let me scroll up with this. Wrong or right? Leveling is only rushed if your economic productivity is tied to your level. No, it's. I mean, people.
No,
how
leveling
could
is always rushed.
Not be tied to your level.
That's also a point.
There's never like of course it's going to be tied to your level unless you're doing some kind of like crazy super extreme thing. Like, and also like guys, people like leveling fast. Like, they like being able to level really fast and complete the content quickly. Like, it's not crazy to say this, right?
Yep.
This particular part, but if I did add it all, 9 minutes of this video would just be Steven talking, and I'm the center of attention here, motherfuckers, so
It's locked behind tower and city levels is what Steven is saying. I don't agree with that. I see why Steven is saying that, but that logic only makes sense at the beginning of the game. Because logically also, throughout the game, all of the nodes are going to be leveled up and be at basically a neutral level, probably, where a lot of the nodes that are going to have freeholds active already have freeholds active. So his argument makes sense for the beginning of the game and the launch of the game, but I don't think it makes sense 6 months after the game's out, or even 1 month after the game's out.
Yeah, I don't understand in depth these systems to actually like comment is that true or not.
So.
Probably true.
Say this. Obviously, Intrepid understand the pros and cons of their design choices. They've clearly considered all possibilities and have landed on a solid conclusion to begin the testing period with. And that's exactly the point. We will be testing these features across multiple iterations to see what feels good. I wouldn't be surprised if a few patches into Alpha 2, they did remove the level requirement or changed the currency in some way, or just...
Yeah, I think that, again, like, I'm willing to play their vision of the game, right? But I just hope that they're not so attached to their vision of the game that they end up hurting the game in the process of achieving it.
I don't understand how this is even a controversial subject. Oh, big deal. You get to make your city at level, what, like 50. I mean, obviously level 30 would probably be better technically, because then you are already accustomed to the game and whatnot enough. And depending on the speed of leveling, that's usually, you know, midway is where leveling starts to get slow, if leveling's slow in the first place, right? So, you know, that would be a good point, a good spot to introduce actually a new game mechanic like the freehold. But other than that, bruh, this is a literally no one really will ever care thing, okay? Freeholds level 50, freeholds level 60, 69, or your sister's brother's basement's boyfriend, doesn't matter. No one will actually care.
Straight up removed certain mechanics entirely, because that's the point of the open development process anyway, to test certain features and see what works. Now, the second and final discussion point is about Ashes of Creation's server structure and how Intrepid are planning to handle patches and updates during the Alpha 2. And you may think that that's boring as fuck and you're about to click off this video, but let me assure you, this answer was pretty insane because it seems they're going with something super unique. So I'll let the clip play and we can discuss what I think it means for the low IQs who don't understand.
I believe at one point you guys even said even when servers were live, that was how you wanted to adjust and tune, that you'd still in the background be able to manipulate things as you guys saw things kind of come online, or if this works or that doesn't work, or things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of what we're providing in how these systems are built are very data driven and don't require us to, let's say, repackage a client and deliver that update to the user for us to adjust data on the back end of the game.
Okay.
And do that during runtime. We can actually create a lot of different environments.
That's a theoretically good thing.
Of testing for a particular system within a running Alpha 2 without having to, let's say, bring the servers down, repackage, and deliver an update to the user.
And this is very interesting because during the Alpha 1, their server structure was very standard. They had a queue system set up and working, they had a pretty stable server towards the end, and these servers were brought down a day or two
I didn't even know that was possible. So it's like a live update? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, yeah.
A time to implement a new patch that fixed and introduced new mechanics. Think along the lines of World of Warcraft when it comes to server maintenance. They take the servers down for a few hours a week, move them back up, and if there just so happens to be a patch or expansion release, the patch will be added during that maintenance. Well,
I don't think that having server maintenance is a big deal. Like, the server going down for 3 hours every week, I don't think really matters. So I hope this isn't something they're trying to achieve. Like, it's just every week. Yeah, every week is. Yeah, I mean, like.
Wait. Did I misunderstand something, or does everyone else misunderstanding something? That guy did not actually talk about really server maintenance. His thing was what he if maybe I don't maybe those words were specific. I don't know, but to me it sounded like he's saying players do X. System is if system understands that there's not enough X. System updates in real time, so there's more of X. I understood that that's kind of what they meant, not really like update. Maybe probably would include like updates, but as much I understand that they are talking about again. Everyone decides to farm like coyotes, but there's not enough coyotes in the world, so the game adds more coyotes dynamically. Essentially, I think that was. Or am I mistaken? I'm confused.
But what if it could be better? Yeah, and that's a question, right? What if it could be better? Thanks, Hemlock, for the raid. Fuck. It's getting more and more common with software these days. I'm surprised games didn't do this quicker. Yeah, I mean, again, spoken like a true WoW Andy. No, I mean, like Black Desert Online has server maintenance. Lost Ark has server maintenance. New World. I don't know if they have server maintenance, really. I'm not sure. Sometimes they do. Like, a lot of games have server maintenance. It's not crazy, right? Zero downtime patches are a thing. Yeah,
True.
I mean, maybe.
It doesn't seem like this is the plan for Ashes of Creation, and I apologize if I have misinterpreted this correctly, but it actually sounds like they're aiming towards a more Guild Wars 2 style of patch and implementation. For those of you who don't know what this means, Guild Wars 2 do not take their servers down for...
I just can't listen to the Valheim music and not hear in the background the sound of a boar getting hit. Like, I'm just imagining somebody hitting a boar. Because it's the Meadows music, right? Fuck. Or the deer, they're like...
See, this is why you play without sound.
Patches and maintenance. Guild Wars 2 servers are up 24/7, and they stream updates into their...
Oh yeah, I actually remember when I was playing Guild Wars 2 that I literally never saw an update. Huh.
Client without requiring the server to go down for implementation. They can, quite literally...
When we will have the king and queen of all MMORPGs, aka Guild Wars, because they have a vertical progression system and it's really, really good, but it doesn't look like, you know, Afterbirth. When will we have that? I want it now.
Launch an expansion with a flip of a switch, and the players don't even need to log off to begin playing it. Obviously, you're still required to download the patches, but that can be done any time prior. Kind of like a preload type system. ArenaNet have utilized this very unique server tech to activate new story chapters in real...
This is what Blizzard does with the expansions in a way. Is that like, like the quest to go to Shadowlands, like I didn't have to relog for that. It just popped up.
Huh.
Time change the main city's decorations
you just
to Halloween and Christmas in...
I mean, pre-downloading is a thing, and I'm pretty sure every game, if it's a small change, you don't actually have to either relog or do anything.
Real time, and it's just very impressive technology that no other MMORPG has been able to replicate. Until now, it seems, because by Steven's wording, it seems like this is how Intrepid are planning to handle the Alpha 2 servers when it comes to hotfixes, patches, and various other maintenance-based server management.
Yeah, I'll have to give Blizzard a huge W. Like, the Legion release, the VFA one was not super great. But the Shadowlands release and the Dragonflight release, all three of those were fucking phenomenal. They were really good.
Diablo's 4 release
like,
also was pretty okay.
I think there was a couple of servers that did get messed up, right? It wasn't perfect. But, like, I would say for a lot of people, it went really well.
I understand that this may just be an early concept and isn't quite implemented yet, but I'll be very interested to hear your opinions on this particular type of server tech and anything else discussed in this video because, well, because we haven't got fuck all else to talk about, have we, boys? But as usual, I am just one nerd, desperate for a good MMO, and my opinion means nothing without yours in the comments below. And hey, my usual upload cadence has been completely disrupted this month, and I apologize for the lack of videos.
Yo, you can literally see the indent groove from headphones. This is why I only use headphones when I'm doing this, and I make sure it's not resting on my head too much. Bruh, I am not gonna be one of you freaks of nature who has a head that looks like a crevice. Oh my lord. Don't use head. You can literally see the indent.
If he wants to do any videos, do another video about how WoW sucks. That was such a good video whenever he did that. Because, like, then I reacted to it. Everybody, dude, that was such a good day. And then it went well, he did another video about how WoW sucks. Like, yeah, it's like we just need one more for the trilogy. Like, let's...
Bruh, I'm gonna watch those videos later. Save.
Let's get a video about Diablo 4.
Yes!
Originally planned to have an additional 3, but I simply don't have time. So, I want to encourage you guys to come join the daily streams over...
Yeah, you can literally see the headphone indent.
Encourage you guys to come join the daily streams.
Yeah, you see? It's small, but it's there. Jesus Christ.
Streams over at twitch.tv/Narcoverse because we pretty much touch on...
It's like Forceman, you know, every video he has a hair sticking in his eye for some reason, and he never cared. It's like literally piercing and bleeding in his eye, and he's like, nah, this is fine.
Everything in detail there. And I'll see you in the next one because...
Dude, that would have just, yeah.
You're high.
Oh, I'm actually gonna...
Opium.
Wait, I'm gonna actually do it like this, you know? I'm gonna change the place where the indent could be, theoretically. Man. Imagine being some kind of freak of nature with a headphone indent. Jeez.
Jesus, man. Do you really need that much now? I mean, I guess after the whole Throne of Liberty thing, like...
Yeah, that was
I guess
brutal.
People probably, like... That just sent everybody down. Sent everybody down a dark path.
True.
Let me link you guys the video. Narc makes great videos about Ashes of Creation. He's like one of the only people that's like consistently making content about the game. So like anytime an update comes out, like he's making videos about it. I think he's great.
Impressive. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. Wow. Well, it is what it is. Anyway, this was Kuzer Sid. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, have done it, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.